welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at all the online discussion, the accusations flying around Halle Bailey and DDG. It really kicked off with Halle Bailey's claim about a chipped tooth.
And for this deep dive, we're primarily working from a transcript. It's from O'Shea Dude Jackson's YouTube channel. And it definitely presents, let's say, a specific perspective on things using social media, past interviews, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And just to be clear up front, our goal here isn't to, decide who's right or wrong. We're not taking sides.
Not at all.
We're here to unpack the claims in this source, look at the evidence it presents, and just try to understand the different narratives coming out of this specific material.
Sounds good. So where do we start? The tooth.
Yeah, let's start right there, the chipped tooth. So Halle Bailey posted she'd, quote, chewed her tooth before going to the dentist.
Okay, but right away, the counter-narrative jumps in, and our source material really leans into this. The argument presented is basically, well, if DDG allegedly slammed her face into a steering wheel, where's the proof? The transcript specifically asks, where are the bruises, lip damage, any mention of a nose injury, a swollen face, things you might expect with that kind of alleged incident.
And it goes further, pointing out the apparent lack of medical records or a police report. Nothing official to back up such a serious accusation.
And the timing is flagged as significant, too.
Yes. The source points to January 23rd, 2025. That's the day Halle mentioned the tooth and also posted, "Hey Pookie," on X. The transcript notes the date format, the day, month, year, to clarify it was that same day.
Which is interesting because the source also brings up a video, apparently from that exact same day, Jan 23rd, Halle's playing guitar.
And seems fine.
Yeah, appears unharmed. So the source is implicitly asking, would someone look like that right after a major facial trauma? It raises that question.
Okay. So moving beyond the immediate incident, the source then shifts focus a bit. It starts looking at Halle Bailey's own past statements about relationships.
Right. It pulls up clips where she apparently says things like, once I always got a man, he's always with me. The implication, according to the source, is maybe difficulty letting go.
Difficulty moving on from past relationships.
Yeah. And this connects to something else mentioned, DDG's brother, Dub. The transcript claims Dub suggested Halle struggled with DDG, potentially moving on, maybe seeing someone else.
Okay, and then there's more from Halle herself about her personality and relationships.
Yes, quite a bit, actually. The source highlights her describing herself as having an anxious attachment style.
Which usually means, needing reassurance, worrying about the partner.
Exactly. And also identifying as a fire sign, Aries, who will go to battle. She apparently also admitted, again, according to the source, to being territorial, a jealous girlfriend, nosy, and even liking drama.
Wow, okay.
So the source presents these self-descriptions, and it seems to be suggesting these traits might factor into the whole situation, the dynamics.
Right, laying groundwork for potential conflict based on her own words. What else does the source bring up?
Well, it mentions a friend of DDG's, Baby Rich. Apparently, he witnessed some past incidents.
Okay.
And there's also talk of B-roll footage. It's not shown or described in detail in our transcript, but it supposedly shows Halle Bailey going off on DDG's brother, Dub.
Implying what? Emotional outbursts?
Yeah.
A pattern, maybe?
That seems to be the suggestion from this perspective, yeah. That the current situation might not be totally out of the blue based on these alleged past interactions.
Okay, so this is where the narrative presented in the source really starts to build a specific argument, isn't it?
It seems so. It starts framing things in terms of potential entitlement on Halle's part, and maybe even seeking to punish DDG.
Punish him? Why?
Well, the source brings up a pretty serious claim, attributed again to DDG's brother. It alleges that Halle was maintaining another relationship supposedly with Brent Faiyaz while she was with DDG.
And DDG didn't know.
Apparently not, according to this claim. Yeah. So if true, the source uses this to suggest a possible hidden dynamic, maybe resentment, reasons for conflict coming from that side too.
Gotcha. So it complicates the picture presented.
Definitely. Then the focus shifts again, this time to the media side of things, specifically that TMZ report about a restraining order.
Right. And the source knows the timing. It came out right when DDG was with Aiden Ross.
Yeah, the timing is highlighted, and the transcript even suggests that Halle Bailey might not have been the one who, directly called TMZ or leaked the info.
So who then? Does the source speculate?
It does. This is where it introduces, a pretty big theory involving Beyonce and Jay-Z's Rock Nation.
Okay. How do they fit in?
Well, the source mentions they reportedly mentor Chloe and Halle, and it brings up academics who apparently suggested Rock Nation might be involved somehow, maybe working behind the scenes to, let's say, damage DDG's reputation on Halle's behalf.
Wow. So painting it as DDG being up against something much bigger.
Kind of, yeah. The analogy used in the source is that he's facing this powerful force he can't really handle. Like, going up against major industry players makes it a very unequal fight.
That definitely adds a layer of, well, potential industry politics or influence.
It broadens the scope significantly, and this leads the video host in the transcript to reflect more generally on, relationships where one person has a lot more, quote, to lose a bigger public profile, and how power imbalances can sometimes lead to disrespect.
So how does the source kind of wrap up its perspective on Halle Bailey herself?
The concluding thought presented is pretty direct. It basically says Halle Bailey is not innocent in all of this. Meaning it suggests there might be reasons stemming from her alleged behavior or personality that could explain conflict, or why DDG might have wanted to, distance himself. It implies her actions might have preceded his.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main threads from this specific source we've looked at.
Sure. So this YouTube video transcript, it questions Halle's chip tooth story, mainly focusing on a lack of corroborating physical or official evidence. It looks closely at her past statements about relationships and her self-described personality traits.
Like the anxious attachment, being territorial.
Right. Suggesting those might be contributing factors. It also puts forward claims from DDG's side, his brother, his friend, about past incidents and even alleged infidelity with Brent Faiyaz.
And then brings in the idea of entitlement, maybe retaliation, and potentially this external influence from powerful figures like Rock Nation shaping the narrative via outlets like TMZ.
Exactly. That's the core narrative presented in the source material we analyzed.
And it's really crucial for you, listening, to keep in mind this deep dive explored one specific viewpoint, the one laid out in that YouTube transcript. We've just outlined the claims and the evidence presented there.
Yeah, definitely not the whole story, just one slice.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with a final thought, perhaps. When you look at these really complex, very public relationship disputes with such conflicting accounts, what does this whole situation maybe tell us about just how challenging it is to navigate relationships under that kind of spotlight?
And maybe how powerful online narratives become in shaping perception.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, what other information, what other perspectives might you need to really get a fuller picture of what's going on here? Something to think about.
Yeah.